Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to join with Goldie with her movie, I'm Sorry, I Tried, I Love You. Let's take a look at the clip.
Did you see her face? What's going on with those marks on her face? Is she okay? She doesn't seem okay. Did you see that rash? Should she even be touching the body?
Something wrong?
There's clearly something wrong with her. What is wrong with her? Did you see
Goldie, thank you so much for bringing your film. I've got so many questions. I can't wait to get stuck in. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
So I'm Sorry, I Tried, I Love You is about a mother who is dealing with a mysterious infestation in her home that turns into a very unexpected transformation for her.
Yeah, no, it really does.
Yeah.
It's really a fantastic film to watch. I'm so glad that I saw it on the big screen as well, because it really made such a huge difference. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this story?
So this story was actually based off of a short story that was written by a friend of mine, Gigi Silverman, who's a disabled feminist horror author. And she wrote this inspired from something that actually happened to her. She actually had this infestation in her home that made she had to get up at 4 a.m. and put on the hazmat suit and clean her house before they could enter certain rooms in the house. And she just took that naturally into a horror space because that's who she is as an author. And then as she published it right before the pandemic, and it went kind of viral during the pandemic, and a lot of people just really related to that kind of trapped isolation feeling that the mother in the story experienced. So
I just want to say, like, the mother, the person who played the character of mother, like, what a brilliant performance. Like, I was mesmerized by just everything that she gave us. Tell us a little bit as a director how you brought your cast together. Like, they really did a great job at her in particular.
Yeah, sure. Finnerty Steves is from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
I had met her once at a film festival, and I had just started talking to her because I recognized her and assumed that I knew her. So I just started talking to her like we were friends.
Oh,
and
really?
Ultimately realized, oh, I recognize you from TV, not because we've actually met in person, but ended up becoming friends, got her email address. And then when I wrote this script, I wrote it with her in mind. I had always pictured her as the woman in the story. And so sent her the script with the hope that she would be interested in doing it with me. And she sent an email back immediately that was just like, yes, 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 absolutely. And was like, I'll just fly into town and sleep on your couch and let's just make this. Like, I really want to do this. So yeah, she was amazing to work with and such an honor to have someone whose work I respect so much. She was always my favorite character on Orange is the New Black. And particularly because in Orange is the New Black, she played another character who made decisions as a mother that people think is kind of horrible. But she was still managed to be empathetic as that character. So I knew that she would be able to do this character really, really well. Plus, she has this really expressive face and can convey a lot of different emotion and feeling just through her expression and her body language, which we had to have because there's almost no dialogue in this film.
No, exactly. Well, I was also obsessed with Orange is the New Black, and it took me a while to like, oh my goodness, it's her. It took me a while, which was such a groundbreaking show in itself. But, again, just seeing her in this forte, just playing this character. I mean, this character goes on a journey, and there's so many layers to, like, from being a mother to just the expectancy of what a mother is supposed to be, with children, and even just going through all kinds of emotions and feelings. And then, of course, this infestation on top of everything, which I've had a situation, isn't it? It's amazing what it can do to your psyche as well. As, for you as a director, like, again, in this kind of, sort of horror genre and this kind of high intense experience, how did you work with her? How did you kind of work with the actors? I mean, of course, it's nice to work with someone that you admire, but how's your process?
With Finnerty on this project specifically, because there is no dialogue, it was kind of hard to actually like rehearse
Yeah.
scenes. So most of what I did with her was just sit down and have these really long conversations about the psychology of the character and what she's thinking and what she's feeling and why she makes this decision, and just really spending a lot of time understanding her as a person.
Yeah.
To get her to the place where she could perform that on the day in front of camera.
I think your film has got, again, I know, I love that this is a friend of yours that made this story as well, and you know, took it to film. How does she feel about it? Like, how does she feel?
She was so supportive and like so excited about the entire thing.
Yeah.
Because I read her story and it just stuck in my mind. I could not get it out, and I could just see it as a short film, and it was in my head for a couple of months before I'm like, I'm just going to write it as a script just for fun.
Yeah.
And sat down and wrote the script in 20 minutes, and it's like, can I make this? And I sent her the script, and she was just like, I love this. Yes, let's do this. And she was a huge cheerleader for the crowdfunding campaign that we did to make the film possible.
Hey, Goldie, that's got to be a record. You wrote the script in 20 minutes. Like, I mean, is that normal for you? Or like, this is incredible.
It's kind of how I write. I tend to sit with stuff in my head for a really long time before I write it, and then it doesn't take me that long to actually write pages.
Yeah.
Like I will like bake in my head a story for about a year. Yeah. And then on a feature, I'll just sit down after that year of just like thinking about it and thinking through the characters and where I want to go with the story and what I want to say with the story. When I actually sit down to write pages, it usually takes me maybe a month.
Oh wow! So you've been manifesting this story, and then it's just easy to come to execution then as well. Yeah. I'm just kind of obsessed with the psychology of this character. I think especially in a world where we don't know what one is going through, even what can look and appear to be rose on the outside, what is actually going on the inside, what looks to be a very full functional family with a father and 2 children, doesn't mean there's not a lot going on. And I think the pressures of motherhood as well on top of all of that is an extra level. What did you kind of want to kind of bring the dynamic of that to your, to screen, but also what did you kind of want your audience to almost take from the visual perspective of the film as well?
Well, that was one thing that was actually really important to both Finnerty and I, that, she had a nice life. She had a nice house, she had nice kids, she had a nice husband, she had a nice car. Like there was nothing wrong to the outside perspective with her life. She wasn't in poverty, she wasn't being abused. It was just the wrong life for her. Yeah. So I really wanted to show that, motherhood just isn't for everyone. Certain lives just aren't for everyone, even if they seem perfect and they seem like exactly what they're supposed to be. Yeah. So
I thought that was important. You really delivered that so well. On camera, you could just really see without dialogue, like what she was going through, and was just really, really fantastic. I'm such a fan of what you created. What did you kind of find was maybe either from a production standpoint or even just going through the project, like the biggest kind of challenges that you kind of faced in making it?
The biggest challenge were really just like the logistics of the locations and things like that. Like the farmer's market scene was supposed to take place in a grocery store. And we had secured a grocery store, like the perfect grocery store that was just minutes away from our house location. And a day before we were supposed to start shooting, it got pulled. And we had to come up with a different solution for that scene. And our production designer had to put together a farmer's market with like 24 hours notice.
Oh, good job though.
He did, they did an amazing job, to the point where people walking by started coming over thinking we were a real farmer's market.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah, they did an absolutely amazing job bringing that together at absolute last minute, and it looked great.
No, it really did.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I talked during the screening about specifically the challenges of getting that very last shot. Yeah. Because we had to shoot all of the stuff with the kids first because they had to be out of there by a certain time, because you can't shoot with kids past a certain time. And then the city doesn't let you shoot in residential neighborhoods beyond 10 p.m. So by the time we wrapped with the kids and got set up for that final shot, we had 30 minutes left before they were going to kick us off the street. Oh my goodness. And we had half of the crew inside of a van, and Haley, the DP, was like in a safety harness strapped into the back of the van with the doors open, and our grip had built this like amazing camera rig off the back of the van, so we had the camera mounted on there. And we have to coordinate the speed of the van driving down the street, Finnerty getting on the bike, coming out, and then the animal trainer releasing the dog, and another animal trainer in the van to get the dog to come the right direction. And working with animals, of course, it never goes right the
No.
first 3-4 times. And I could just see the AD just like sweating.
Oh, goodness.
He was so worried. But we got it. I was super happy with that shot that's at the end of the film is our very last take. And we were like, got it, gotta go. And we just like drove the van back to our base camp without like with Haley still off the back of the van.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned all of those dynamics to get that absolute pinnacle final shot, which was so worth it. Like, I mean, it was everything to kind of, you know, just see that visualization. And so well done for accomplishing all that against time as always, right?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I really enjoyed this story that you told. I'm just curious for you as a filmmaker, like what kind of stories do you enjoy telling or want to continue to tell?
Everything that I write tends to be pretty dark.
They were fine with that.
So this is very on theme for me.
Yeah.
I do a lot of genre stuff, a lot of crime thrillers, sci-fi, horror. And I really love stories that just have something kind of unusual about them. Like this is a very magical realism type story. In literature, I'm obsessed with magical realism. You can't see my tattoos, but this is my Salman Rushdie arm.
Oh, I love it.
I have all these quotes from Salman Rushdie all up and down my arm.
Wonderful.
And just love the magical realism authors. So and on the filmmaking side, like Charlie Kaufman has always been a huge influence. So a lot of my stories tend to have these like magical surrealist elements to them.
Oh, well, I'm game for whatever comes next, Goldie, like for sure. How is this experience? We certainly just loved having your film at NewFilmmakers LA. How is it having, you know, having it in front of a live audience to kind of hear that reaction and those experiences? How was that for you?
It's always interesting seeing my films in front of an audience because I know my stuff is dark and it's a little weird.
No, I love it.
So I never know like exactly how it's going to hit with people. So it's always interesting to see people like get really drawn in by it, and like especially with this one in particular, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Because
it doesn't give you any answers. You like have to piece it together as things are going on, and sometimes you don't even really get it until the very, very end. So it's kind of fun to go on that journey with people and like hear them audibly figuring things out as it goes. Yeah,
we had a very vibrant audience last night, so it was definitely fun to see part of it. What is next for you?
So I have a couple of features in development, another crime thriller and a horror script. So we'll see when those get made. Yeah. It's still a bit challenging post-pandemic.
Yeah, of course,
to try to get anything made. And then I have a scripted true crime mini-series.
Oh my goodness.
That I'm working on.
Oh, amazing. I'm game for whatever world you take us in, Goldie, because I'm down. And I think, you know, again, I think films from all dynamics, from all perspectives, from all different genres, like cross genres and everything is really wonderful. Is there anything you've kind of, for any aspiring, you know, filmmaker or just looking at you go and think, oh, I want to make something too. Do you have any creative advice that you go by or anything that you go by just generally to support other people who want to follow in your footsteps?
I think one of the biggest things for me is don't let anyone tell you you're not ready yet. Nobody's ever ready. You just do it and you get better, and you do it again and you get better. You don't wait until you're ready to start doing something. And don't try to chase what you think people want you to make. Make what's true to you, what's important to you, what's in your voice, and there are people who will connect to that. If it means something to you, it means something to other people too.
Oh, I love that. If that's not a good piece of advice to go out and follow your dreams, I don't know what is. But no, listen, thank you, Goldie. Thank you for bringing your film to us. We're ready for the next one. And welcome to the NewFilmmakers LA family. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Goldie.